Welcome back, guys. I'm Zell, and we've got another wee knife to look at today. We've talked about the packaging before. This one is a 619D, but you already knew that because you read the title. And, you know, the boxes fit well, look nice, and, or I say fit well, they fit what this little package here extremely well. And it's a nice little zipper pouch with WE on one side and WE's web address on the other. On the inside we get our tool, of course, we get some desiccant, and we have our WE pause and read card if you'd like to, and a microfiber cloth, and then the knife. We'll get the nice little pouch out of the way. And the 619 is one of the smaller knives for WE. We have a closed length of 4.29 inches, a handle thickness of just a hair over a half an inch at 0.53, and a closed height of 1.5. And of course with WE we get titanium handle material. We got their little star screws, but they send us the tool, so that's going to be okay. And we get this neat milled in design. I'm going to zoom in here so we can get a good look at it. And, you know, every time I look at this thing, I think prehistoric. You got the little bit of an eye sticking up there, a little bit of a nose sticking up there. I think dinosaurs and stuff with the block pattern that they put on it. And, you know, it's just really cool. And of course we have our standard WE pivot, which we have the oversized WE logo on this side for the pivot, and then we have the collar and pivot screw over here. And it is tip up right hand only as always. And we have a very nicely centered blade. And let's do a little size comparison. We have our Rat Model 1 and our Buck 110. So it's a little smaller and lighter than both of them by a little bit, compared to the Rat, by a lot compared to the old Buck. And then of course we have our Delica. And it really comes in about the same size as the Delica, but because of materials it weighs about twice as much as a Delica. Delica I think is around 2.5 ounces, and this guy is about 4.9. But this is your quaint little slicer, and this is a more heavy-duty knife. And let's get a look at this blade. On this model we have satin polished flats, slightly polished, look really nice, and then a stone-washed bead blast look to our bevels. And we got a nice swedge up there, got a little bit of a dip right here, and we've got some jimping right across here, and it's not super aggressive jimping, which I like. And then we've got kind of an eye looking thing here. It's not exactly a round hole. They don't want to infringe on Spyderco, I assume, so it's a bit egg-shaped, but it gives it a bit of an aggressive look. And we have a full teardrop machined around it and cupped down in here. That happens, of course, on both sides of the blade. Very good looking blade made out of M390. It's about 2.9 inches long with an edge length of 2.34 because we've got a really large forward finger choil that's actually very important on this knife. And we have a blade stock thickness of right at 4 millimeters or 0.158. And we should probably look at our stock edge. More of our junk paper. And there you go. That's what we've been getting out of more and more companies. WE has done a pretty good job. If I can not get back here, so I stick my finger in there, we'll fix that problem. Kershaw has even done a very good job this year with actually sending us sharp knives, and I appreciate that. And from here we'll go to our pause and read card, and I'll be right back with you. Alright, let's get this guy down to Levi's and see what we get. Well, and just like the G10 ones, this thing is a bit surprising. With these titanium clips, I always expect more knife to be sticking out because, I don't know, maybe that was my first interaction with them where that they didn't work real well and there just wasn't a lot of thought put into them. But here we's done what looks to be a good job. Let's get a piece of that paper out here and see what kind of lift we've got on it. And it doesn't have a whole lot, but it looks like it's got plenty enough to clear jeans. Get it out of here and see what we really have. And you know, that's probably enough to clear most of your work pants, and we've got quite a bit of spring to it, so should do us well. For the mechanical end of this guy, it's just like all Louise. We're running on ceramic ball bearings with a ceramic detent, and it's a frame lock, of course. And the frame lock comes in, and like most Wiis, it's got what some would consider fairly early lockup, but I don't have room to complain here. I have yet to experience a Wii knife that had any lock rock in it or didn't lock up positively. You know, we do have that steel lock insert down there, and they just lock up solid. And this one's no exception. No blade play in any direction. Works really good. Now, ergonomics, that's where this guy gets interesting. You get it in your hand and you can get all the way up here. And that choil is big enough that you're probably not going to get your hand up in the blade. Now, I don't suggest you go whacking on things with your hand around it like this, but it's kind of the design way to hold this knife. If you get it back here, which is where you should hold it if you're going to whack on things, everything's alright. We've got this little bit of a point here, and you know I'm not a big fan of those, but for my hands, this one fits well back here. Now, if you've got really big hands or extremely small hands, you know, that may be a little bit of a problem, but, you know, the fat man seemed to like this knife, so apparently it wasn't too big a problem, and he's got some pretty good sized hands. So, if I picked it up, I'm probably going to use it like this. And I'm just going to be aware that I don't need to be really banging on things with it, which you shouldn't be doing with your knife anyhow, but if you do, you need to get a hold of it back here where you've got a little bit of guard to keep you from getting up on the blade. Anyhow, ergonomics, it's not much of a draw cut knife because this is going to get you. I mean, it can be done as long as you're not trying to do it all day. You're going to be fine. Trying to use it for self-defense, of course, in your reverse grip, it's going to be fine with that nice short handle at 4.29 inches long. You can thumb cap that thing and you're in good shape. You could even get it down here. I don't know why you would, but you could. And even back around like this was going to be really good. You're going to have really fine control here. So ergonomically, they did a pretty good job, and a really good job, I think, for what the knife was intended, how it was intended to be used. Still not a huge fan of points here, but in this case, it works. So, action-wise, it's a Wii. I mean, you can light switch it, you can push button it. This is not one that you can really get out with one hand with that hole in the blade. It's just the detent is a little stiff for that, so that you have the good flipping action. Can you lift it out of there? Of course you can. You can even lift it out of there back there if you pinch it, but then you could pinch it right there and lift it out. But to use it blade hole in a Spidey-like manner, there's just not enough room there to get your hand in the blade hole. But overall, the action is very, very good. Works extremely well. You know, it's just like every other Wii knife. There you go. Anyhow, guys, this is our Wii knife model 619. You know, and it is an interesting one. I don't know that I would carry one of these, but it would be really cool to have around, especially for those of you that are in those places where you have that 3-inch blade limit and you'd like a more heavy-duty knife. For me, I kind of wish it was just a little bit smaller. I wish it got down in that size range with this guy. If it was down in this size range, it is approximately in the same weight range. But down in this size range, I would be all over this guy. I would want at least 1, 2, maybe 6. But anyhow, the WE Knife 619, it's a really cool one. It goes along with the, what was it, an earlier model, I can't remember, the other one that's about this size and has really cool design. But anyhow, guys, I really appreciate you stopping by and talking knives with me for a few minutes and getting a look at this WE 619. If you're in the market for a less than 3-inch blade, this is one you can have in those places, and it's kind of cool. Anyhow, you guys have a wonderful day. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.